Minecraft Dungeons is not a good game. I know that's an unpopular opinion. There are all sorts of big-brained scholars playing this game.
He was a good man. What a rotten way to die.
That some virgin complaining online ain't gonna change people's minds. But let me try. God, I hate this already. Hello, today we'll be reviewing a game recently, and by recently I mean a little while ago, released. I had no expectations going in, positive or negative. I wasn't expecting Minecraft, neither should you. Though I did expect some relation between how stuff in Minecraft worked and how stuff in this game worked, like creepers exploding, zombies growling, and parrots being useless. Well, the parrots aren't even in the game, so I guess I was right. They should be able to make a good game, right? So let's start off with the story. In this game, the story is that this little baby incel virgin simp gets bullied by Chads, then gets an orb of power which allows him to be well powerful. Then he takes over Illager society and sends them to go rape and pillage. So you go on this journey of epic proportion. It's really just going through levels that are vaguely related through the fact that the Arch-Illager is either been there or wants to go there or is currently there. So of course the Illagers are bad guys, and you can tell they're bad guys because they killed my fucking llama. In this level, most enemies are killed in one hit. I mean, that's fine, because it's the first level, it's understandable the enemies would be one hit. But the problem is, that trend sort of continues throughout the entire game, excluding a few different enemy types. Imagine if in Minecraft, right off the start, you could kill most of the enemies in one hit. Ready for this? Ready? Ready? Fuck. Would that be fun? No, it wouldn't. There was the occasional bug. What the I'm stuck. What the fuck? I'm fucking stuck. Get me out of here. Ow! No, wait. There's just like an invisible wall up here where you can get up? What? Oh, I'm stuck! But the level was completely mediocre, like most first levels of a game. This level also shows the additional items. They're quite simplistic. Mainly just use the ability, and the enemy will die, or you will get a status effect. Let's get into this review with a point that will undoubtedly be thrown at me because I'm reviewing this game in a negative light. It's a kid's game, but I mean that's not only an excuse, but it's probably not true. I mean, Minecraft isn't for kids. It's a universal game. It's the same problem with Minecraft Story Mode. They made a game for kids based on a game that is universally loved by all ages. So if this was intended for kids, then you're isolating a huge amount of your audience for some stupid little kids that are probably playing fucking Fortnite 24/7. People still play that? Oh, apparently not. Also, I've never played Diablo 2, so I have no idea if this is just how these games are supposed to go. So if Diablo 2 is exactly the same, and it's really fucking easy to kill shit, and it's really no challenge, then please do tell me down below, and well, that would be cool. The second level is really nothing remarkable. I mean, glowing mushrooms make funny noise. Oh. That's nice. Well, that's an enemy under the floor. Well, that's 100% enemies killed dead on arrival. Am I supposed? Is that in a cave? Down here? Is there a cave under here? No. Apparently not. Like I care about killing all the enemies. I think at this point I realized this entire game is just walk to the checkpoint. I mean, I wish there was some more freedom in the design. I really only found a few cool places with loot, and they just basically disappear later on in the game. There's like basically none later on in the game, or painfully obvious to find. Hopefully I'm just missing chests in these areas, and it's not that there's nothing there. There's an optional dungeon. I'll talk about all optional shit later, near the end of the video. Watch out for creepers, because that's really the only threat in this level. The bow ruins this game early on. Like, everything just dies really easily, and you just stand away, like, across the fucking map. God, this level is boring. So there's more just walking around, killing large clusters of enemies. It's not even overwhelming. You would think it was overwhelming with the fact that there's large clusters of enemies, but it's not really. It's just a slight dopamine release of seeing a lot of enemies, then you get to kill them all. Could have made the enemies do a bit more. I mean, you could have added a dodge button, which I'll get into later. They could have added more projectiles, or anything that could be considered complex fighting mechanics. It wouldn't screw over the Minecraft aesthetic either, because giant redstone golems and magic cauldrons shooting purple slimes aren't really a part of the Minecraft aesthetic, so they could have gone fucking buck wild. They could have done any amount of stuff if they wanted to fucking do the purple slime. For this third level, I decided to just turn up the difficulty level to the highest possible because I'm really cool, and I like it because the levels were longer than normal and the enemies did more damage. I can go to Soggy Swamp. Put the difficulty all the way up. Recommended power 22. Right, I'll play on. I might play on 22 power. The Soggy Swamp, where your task is to stop a bunch of witches from making potions. I mean, I haven't seen any potion wielding enemies up to this point, but to be fair, there are none after the swamp, so I guess that's okay. Well, this new difficulty, the enemies don't die in like one hit, so it's not really difficult, but at least it takes longer than 5 seconds to kill enemies. You see, this is what I like, you know, you gotta manage stuff. The slime's split in half, and block me from hitting the other enemies, so there's actual urgency to kill them. Witches are higher priority, because they do so much damage. Well, the first boss of the game is an Enderman. That's something I didn't expect. That is actually a cool idea, you know? Adding, like, an actual enemy as the boss, that's a cool idea. So I'll be honest, I like this boss. It's probably the higher difficulty and the fact that the shitty roll, but I actually thought it was hard. By the end, I actually figured out how to beat him easily. If you swing or shoot in his direction, he'll teleport, allowing for slight downtime. And it's not... Oh, there's another Enderman.
What a shame.
Oh, it's just a fucking mini boss. It's not even a boss. I just died like 3 times to this thing. Oh, I'm stuck in the terrain again. God, I was having fun. Oh, the actual boss. This cauldron is a terrible fight. He just spits out purple slimes to shoot out more purple slimes. I don't think this fight was supposed to be experienced, so underleveled. It just makes the same noise over and over again. It's probably worse on the base difficulty because it lasts probably so little time. It just uses the same move, spitting out the fucking slime. I'm not going to criticize the game for being boring, because I subjected the higher difficulty on myself. But I thought the Enderman fight was pretty good with the higher difficulty, at least. Yeah, this level's probably the best level in the game. Well, it's just saying much because I really didn't like the cauldron boss. The color scheme's good, it's visually interesting, it won't burn out your eyeballs because it's too bright, but it also won't bore you to death with really dark colors. The only place where I didn't like it is in the cave section, because I feel it's really bland looking and doesn't really have an atmosphere like the rest of the swamp, which just makes it kind of visually cluttered as the enemies look terrible in the dark because they didn't put much shading on them to make them look like they're in a cave. Also, it's probably the red outline around them as well that sort of pulls me out of the experience. This also applies to the player character. I think the worst looking parts of the game, or the darker parts, as little effort was put to make it feel like these enemies are actually in this environment, making it feel less engaging. I've said this a lot, but let's talk about the roll. So, you know how in most games with rolls, they're used to dodge the attacks using a thing called I-frames, invincibility frames, which means when you roll, there's a period of time where enemies cannot hit you if you time it right. They're like, that's stupid. How about we use the roll as an escape tactic instead of adding in a sprint? to the game. Because us here at Mojang, we're not very good at making games with a focus on combat. There's no invincibility frames on this roll, so it's not a dodge. It's used to get away from enemies. Which, I know that may sound like a dodge, but it's not how a dodge usually works in these type of games. Over the 8 hours that I played this game, right up to the end, I was still trying to roll through attacks, and there was no invincibility frames, and I would just die. I'm just so hardwired into these invincibility frame dodges. There's so many games where they have invincibility frames. It just doesn't have it in this game. There's no invincibility frames in this game. Now, this isn't me trying to complain that the roll doesn't have any invincibility frames. You can do that if you want. I really don't get the point of the roll. I mean, it doesn't dodge and could be easily replaced by a sprint, because really the only use of it is to distance yourself from enemies, but it would be much easier to just sprint away. At least then it would also make sense that they could hit you while rolling. That's just my point. I just don't think that the roll is very useful. The 4th level is known as Pumpkin Pastures. It's nothing to write home about gameplay-wise. It's not as visually interesting as the swamp, I can tell you that for free. It's mostly just the same enemies you've been fighting for 2 hours. Oh, is this the reoccurring joke we're going for? Enemies stuck under the floor? I know I've increased the difficulty as high as possible, but it's still just not a challenging experience. All that's changed, really, is killing takes more shots. I know games that attempt to show how powerful you get over time, but in this game, it's really just you're powerful from the start, and you're powerful at the end. You can kill anything in 1 to 2 hits without really a challenge, and then there is the dreaded 3 to 4 hit enemies that, take a couple more hits than usual to take down. Okay, so here's a set of stairs. How do I get up here? Stuck on the fence. Where's the stairs to get up here? Oh, here it is. Now what? I guess I have to get over to the barrel? Oh, I'm stuck in the environment. Well, that was sure a hell of a location. If only I knew how to get anything from it. It was pretty cool. An actual secret. That is pretty cool. It's got lifesteal. Look. So I think that this game thinks they can make a game more difficult by just placing a bunch of enemies. But in normal games that use a lot of enemies, solo enemies are normally easy to take down, but in numbers, they are hard to kill. But in this game, solo enemies are easy to kill, and large groups of enemies are also easy to kill. Did they seriously not consider that you could hit them through walls? I guess not, seeing as a lot of them can also see you through walls as well. So next up is the Evoker. It's a mini-boss, sort of, and you'll see why I say sort of in a moment. He just endlessly summons minions. What am I supposed to do when I kill them? He spawns more like 10 seconds later. You can't even be stun locked like enemies, so I can't stop him spamming the magic. I know this may sound weird for me to say, but you're probably saying the Enderman couldn't be stun locked. How was he not unfair? His teleportation ability was a form of stun lock. He teleported away for a short amount of time. It was a couple of seconds, but it was enough to catch your breath because he had so much health, at least on the thing that I was doing. And I know the game isn't optimized for higher difficulty, but I mean, you're probably saying just change the difficulty, but I feel like the only reason they added in a difficulty is so they didn't have to balance out the game. Take other games like Dark Souls, you know, Mario, Hotline Miami, the first one or the second one. I mean, the second one doesn't have a difficulty either, but that I don't really like the second one. Take those games. Those don't have difficulty sliders. Those don't allow you to choose difficulties. So they're optimized, so you know that this is the way that the game is meant to be played. With difficulty, a whole thing comes in where it is like, yeah, the true experience is the one in the middle, and then there's the ones for bitches, and then there's the one for losers. It's just difficulty's kind of stupid. It's basically just an excuse to not balance out a game. So that's the reason I'm not picking difficulty. And can you tell by the way that I'm talking that this was recorded after the fact of all this? Because I make a bunch of points in this video where I need to back it up a little bit more. Can you tell that this is after the fact? Because I'm not very good at talking unscripted. Can you tell that? Right. Well, good. Goodbye. Now there's like 10 of these little fucking bastards, and he summoned more. I just spawned right beside him. That mini-boss was terrible. As already said, there's basically no space to attack him because he has minions, which is my least favorite thing in any boss fight. Don't spawn in weaker enemies that fight beside the boss. You know, that is just a cheap way to make a fight more difficult. So there's these enemies that summon walls, exploding little totems. These things are only there to be annoying. I've noticed this about the game. The 3 enemy types are annoying, melee, or useless. Useless being enemies that do basically nothing and add nothing to the game. So next you have to ring the warning bell, something actually from Minecraft. All that enemy does is hinder his team. He just killed all of them. No, there's no way. They just used the same mini-boss. They gave it a giant health bar on top. It's only visually bigger, by the way. I don't think its health is changed at all. He still has no cooldown on his moves. I just realized that the only thing that made the original fight so hard was the shitty little corridor you fought him in. This fight is actually boring once you figure out you can just walk away from the bastard, heal, and then get your like 3 hits, then run away again. Welcome to Stone Quarry cave place. I'll look up the name later on. So first thing you may notice is the redstone, which is obviously redstone. But you may also notice the blue stones. What is that, you may ask? Is it diamonds? Well, if it was, then the illagers would be using diamond tools. So is it lapis? But lapis doesn't glow like redstone. Also, I'm aware diamonds don't glow either, but who cares? Remember to comment down below what this fucking stone is. I can't stop thinking about what this stone is. Also, there are mine carts that damage you. Kind of pointless and have pretty bad hitboxes, but okay, at least it's something different than stuff in the environment being pointless. I don't know why I thought that would work. There's also snow. Is this what's called environmental storytelling? Giving a bit of foreshadowing to later on in the game? So maybe some locations, maybe a snowy location? Maybe there's a snowy bonus level on this stage? Oh wait, no, there isn't, never mind. So your job is to free the villagers. Of course, to make this level even better, we have a mission where you go up to something and press A. I'm glad that this game has so many of these. I'm not sick of it already. I know that there will be no more of these after this point. The enemies still don't look that good in a level dedicated to a cave. Not even the unique enemy, the cave spider. And this is really the biggest level they appear in. Yeah, I found a pet bat that plays the game for me and doesn't get attacked. That's pretty epic. Oh, no. Not this guy. I fucking pushed him off a cliff. I would complain, but it was a shitty mini-boss, so who gives a shit. And there's like 20 million zombies here. Now I gotta save more villagers. Yay. What do these villagers even do for me? Anyway, unless I'm missing out on something, is the reason I have the blacksmith and the wandering trader because I'm saving these villagers. I looked it up, and the blacksmith is tied to Creeper Woods, so it is tied to saving villagers, and the wandering trader's tied to Pumpkin Pastures? Was he a part of the village I warned with the bell? Wandering traders aren't a part of villages. I won't question it. Oh, not again. But now I know what to do. Listen, I only did that because it's a shitty fight that sucks major dick. This isn't a boss room up ahead. Oh my god, it was. And I'm dead. This thing's so fast for a lumbering piece of shit. This boss isn't hard when you get to know it, but it hits really fast and is for some reason really quick, while also being one of the biggest bosses so far. It's not very well made all over, with the arena having lava all around in little pools, which isn't necessarily bad. I just have a bad experience with that sort of thing. But yeah, this boss isn't very well made. It's way too fast for its size. I'm convinced it's actually faster than some of the in-game enemies, the normal enemies. I know this was to make it a tank enemy later, but I mean, it's not really an excuse. I died to this a couple of times, but I mean, even after dying a couple of times, I didn't think it was as hard as the Enderman. It's just a normal enemy with more health, really. It has a swing, and it explodes. Also, you may have noticed that all the bosses basically only have 2 attacks, and yes, I'm counting the Evoker's 2 separate magic attacks. I'm grouping them together. It literally stays the same throughout the entire game. Every boss basically has 2 attacks. It's just, here's these 2 attacks that this boss have, that's it. That's all, the bosses only have 2 attacks, basically. Next level is set in a desert. Ooh, it's called Cacti Canyon. This is the lead up to an abandoned temple. Ooh, now that's an original area idea. But this run up at least looks nice. If only it wasn't the same enemies I've been fighting for around 4 hours. Gameplay still hasn't changed. It's really just press A, all standing still and occasionally moving to get closer to an enemy. Now this would be fine if the combat was in any way interesting, but it really is not, visually or gameplay wise. At least I have this new dancer's sword that makes enemies weaker, so it just makes them the normal difficulty. Now it's time to press A on some more objectives, like it's Doom 2016, but not good. So of course there's a new enemy, ooh, a husk. Now that's actually from Minecraft, and I do not know why they're in the game. They're really slow, they don't have any noticeable other effects. Like in the normal game, they give you hunger when they hit you, but you can't do that in this game. So they're kind of useless. They're just slightly more beefy, but there is already a beefier zombie. And don't even come at me with the metal zombie armor wouldn't suit the aesthetic of the level. There are metal armored skeletons in this level. The cactus doesn't even fucking hurt you. So of course there's this new thing. Whoa, a new thing. It's collecting keys to open up a door. This will never be overdone. Like pressing A on an objective. When damaged, the key is removed from your back. It's a pretty useless feature. It's only there to really annoy you, because the key doesn't really run that fast, and in some cases it doesn't run at all. Oh, now it's time for the temple, you know. Even though I made the original joke, I'm still kind of excited. Just gotta fight the boss of this area. There hasn't even been a mini boss to fight. They must have really went all out on the boss before this temple. And nothing. That's the level. Over. What a disappointing ending to the whole ordeal. I mean, this level was okay. It wasn't horrible. It was kind of boring though, seeing as there was really no challenge. I died once, but that was one of those freak moments where like 5 projectiles hit me and there was no way I could have done anything. I think this level just feels like a bonus level, which I will talk about them later. They just cobbled together into a main quest level, because the bonus levels really have no content and add nothing to the experience. And only one has a boss in it, and the boss is a reskin, but I'll talk about that reskin later on. This level just feels like a bonus level, and I'll tell you what, this level would have made a good bonus level, because it actually adds something, being a new enemy. But I feel like they just needed a place to connect the temple, like they did with Redstone Mines in the Forge level. But I feel like maybe a connection to the temple wasn't really needed. At least this level felt like somewhat of a journey, because I actually cared about what I was journeying to. Unlike in Pumpkin Pastures, which was just a village, which, let's be clear, I don't give a flying fuck about. But I do care about going to a temple that's going to be actually cool. Anyway, on to the next level. Just before this level begins, this is my least favorite level in the game, so I think that is something that should be mentioned before delving deeper. Boom, Fiery Forge. This could be a theoretically epic location, because really there hasn't been any epic locales. So I'm hoping that I can get trying to think of a line that includes ranged enemies, so I can transition to a section. Let's hope there's a range of epic enemies in this location. That was smooth. Have I told you I hate ranged enemies? Well, if you didn't know, then now you know. They're pussies. They don't even do that much damage if you're at the correct power level, but I mean, I wasn't. I can't really complain, but still, shut up. I'm kidding about the damage. It's not like there's really a huge number of them. They're not really bunched up together. They're imaginable in groups of like 5, with other enemies mixed in, like melee. The only ones that are actually somewhat okay to fight. But they would never put a huge amount of them in an area, right? In this area, I killed 26 ranged enemies and a couple of explosive mages, which makes this area even worse, because the explosive mages are only there to annoy you and really do nothing. You know what makes this even worse? They added this platform that I rolled off 3 times, thinking it may have been a chest location, like this other location where I got the jester fucking sickles or whatever. Beyond the 26 ranged enemies is even more ranged enemies. But I ended up just running past to better pastures, being melee enemies. So this redstone golem hates my llama for some reason. Hey, next onto something arguably worse. Go around pressing A on forges, but this time they fire explosive waves. Wow, truly innovative game design. This is really all it is. And then there's little parts where you fight enemies. Seeing these magical enemies made me want to rip off a joke from Internet Historian that was then stolen by Pyrocynical, and now it belongs to me. Enemies stuck in the floor. You stuck in the environment. More floor stuck enemies. More environmental stuckage. Enderman doesn't fight you if you're far away from him. Boo, surprise. More environmental stuckage. Uninstall game on PC, lose all of your progress. Run past all the enemies on Soggy Cave and glitch through this door to get a unique chest in under a minute.
And then you can just come here, collect your chest. You can farm this map maybe every minute.
So for the rest of the level, you just kind of walk around killing anything in sight, with the only objective is to escape the forge. It's not like it's being destroyed or anything. It really doesn't feel like I'm escaping. I'm just walking out. They could add a timer or something resembling an escape. I mean, you did destroy the core, so it would make sense if the place was being destroyed, it was like exploding. But that would probably make the game more interesting and wouldn't allow for the grinding, you know? Now it's time for the big guy himself. This fight's kind of bad. I've been saying that a lot. It's just kind of a bigger redstone golem with a shittier moveset. The only way to really die is by this one attack where you get knocked around like a bitch. You know what I really hate about this boss? Is its placement. Why is it here? I mean, it's just sitting at the back of the forge next to some shitty lift that only leads closer to the Archillager. It's not like an escape. Is it guarding it? I mean, you could say that, but what's it guarding? There's no villagers in the forge. They're all in the mines. What's the point in expecting even environmental storytelling? Why is this redstone golem dead? There aren't any allies that could have killed it. It's funny mine game where you kill funny tiny grey man. I guess I shouldn't expect a story from this game. I found a 24 episode series explaining Diablo 2 lore. 24 episodes! The story for this area is 3 lines long on a Minecraft Dungeons wiki. So I've been subtly hinting at the horribleness of the combat in this game, but I think we need an in-depth section. it's really just spam A. And on PC, just point and click. So I played on Xbox, not because it's free. I paid for it with my money, but because that's the only software I use except for Nintendo fucking Switch. Also, there's a bow, which is actually overpowered, which may not be everyone's experience because I feel like it's very subjective of how overpowered or underpowered it is. But for me, this thing just tears through bosses and enemies. Mostly bosses because it's more noticeable because enemies die in a few hits either way. I never feel particularly scared or threatened by large groups of enemies. They just don't scare me. In any other game, a huge cluster of enemies would scare me. It just feels like a quick time event in this game. Mash A to win. I mow down enemies. It doesn't make me feel like I'm mowing down enemies. Like in other games where you cut down hordes of enemies, it actually makes you feel powerful. This just makes me feel nothing. I know people criticize games like Minecraft Story Mode because it really has no gameplay, just press a button to win. At least it feels like you're doing something in that game. I think that's the biggest problem with this game. It doesn't feel like you're doing anything. It's like 8 hours of nothing. Even now, a week after completing the game as of the writing of this script, I can't describe any feeling I had while playing, except boredom. This video may seem like the same criticisms over and over again. It's because the combat is the same throughout the entire game, and it's consistently terrible. The artifacts don't add much to this game. I mean, they are useful in some situations, but you'll only really be using the healing ones and the occasional damage one when you remember they exist. You can also summon pets like llamas and wolves, and an iron golem, which I don't think you can get in the first playthrough, so I didn't get it. I can't speak for the iron golem, but I think I'll just say this. Why let a dog kill those mobs when I can just kill them 3 times fucking faster? The next level is a desert temple, and as already mentioned, the run-up to this was alright. The area looked okay, and didn't have anything that particularly stood out as good or terrible. And this speaks true to this level as well. This level is just not interesting. The first bit feels like the optional dungeon area that I'd already played, but reskinned with some sand and glowing water. There's not really anything visually interesting, and the traps in the area are just a joke, which are pretty hard to actually get hit by. I only think I got hit a few times. The boss in this area is nothing to speak about. It just repeats the same attacks and then teleports away until you search for it, then rinse and repeat. I died to its orbs, but they do a lot of damage, okay? Finally, we're at the second last level of the game. I've never been so happy to finally get to this point in a game. Normally I'm sad. Normally, you know, when I reach near the end of a game, I'm like, oh no, the game's ending. But with how the game has been so far, it can't get any worse than this level, right? Well, the game hasn't changed a bit. This level is pretty meh. It's mainly just illagers, which are the least interesting enemies in the game. They don't even look cool. There's a new enemy with a shield. Apparently it's annoying according to the Reddit, but we all know that Reddit isn't really fucking trustworthy. I don't see it. They're really just a redundant design. One pop and their shield is gone, and there really isn't that many of them, except later on. This level is really forgettable. Nothing memorable happens in this level. I preferred fucking Cacti Canyon because the atmosphere of traveling to a cool desert temple, which, while somewhat generic, it felt like a journey. Castles really don't have this atmosphere, especially when I know that I'll be fighting this fucking thing. The only cool thing about this enemy is how the design is kind of cool. It hasn't really got any low points in the visual category like some other places, but it doesn't beat the swamp in how much I like the style. And you see, that speaks a lot because I really didn't like the cave section of the swamp, but the swamp is still the best level in this game. But what does drag it down is the atmosphere. I really don't care about killing the Archhaven, so this journey up to the castle really isn't doing anything for me. I know that's subjective. I mean, it's a fucking review. You came here for subjective opinions. Why am I even saying that? So this outside area actually looks good, but it's just filled with the same enemies from the whole rest of the game. I mean, you can use enemies over and over again if they're interesting to fight, but these just boil down to pressing A once or twice. Not even like a huge amount of A pressing, really. Oh shit, look at these things. Oh, they die in one hit. Well, that's probably the biggest change to standard enemies. It really is an imaginative reimagining of the way enemies in this game play. You see, they changed axes to cleavers and added a little white hat. You know, at least this enemy only appears once in the game, so it's actually an innovative design. Later on into the game, it feels like exploration is less important. I can hardly find shit, and the blacksmith and wandering trader just give me better shit anyway. Most of the bosses also give me good loot. I know I said I wouldn't compare to Minecraft, but exploration is barely incentivized. I mean, to get to the bonus level, you have to reload the level over and over again. This doesn't help freedom. This makes the game less free, because the extra content isn't guaranteed to spawn, so you just have to reload multiple times, therefore constricting the freedom to explore. Imagine if in Mario, you know the way cannons spawn in some levels, where you can skip parts of the game? Imagine if they would randomly spawn, and to check if the cannon had spawned, you had to look at the map. If it said secrets 0 of 1, then you would be able to go for it. But if it didn't, you had to exit back to the map. That wouldn't be fun, and it wouldn't really be freedom, really. You know, this evoker guy's a real bitch. Even in large groups, these shield guys get fucking memed hard. So they recruited the ghosts from the temple. I can't believe that. They must have a pretty high going rate on their employment, seeing as they're ancient ghosts from a creepy temple. I kill most of these shitty enemies so easily. By this point, I'm sick. And can I point out, I still have like 3 hours worth of content to go, including looking up a fucking walkthrough to find some runes for 2 hours. This next level sucks. So I had some thoughts that the game may have been improved for the final level. They may have went all out. Maybe it may have been epic, but it's really just walking around the same environment for 30 minutes until getting to some bullshit boss. Keep in mind, for this part, I was at the recommended par level, or near the point. I was 34, it may have been 35, or I don't think it was at 35. I never realized how much these props are reused. The amount of times I see these wooden grates with lava underneath it makes me fucking sick just thinking of it. Something I noticed about this, and the forge level in this game, is really weird. The lava sometimes flickers in and out of reality. It's only the lava. How hard is it to just copy and paste the water, but make it orange and brighter? None of this feels difficult, but I keep getting to low health. Is that normal? I never noticed how retarded this thing walks. Do you guys want to hear a fact? In this line there is 4, count them, 4 of these golems in a row. Did you expect me to fight them? Like, Jesus Christ, I'm dumb, but I ain't that dumb. And then there's another one in this hallway. Luckily, it can be dealt like most enemies in this game. They aren't even that hard. They're just beefy enemies. The background of this area sucks. I expected a cool area for the final fight. Like, maybe a view of all the areas I'd already visited. I mean, it's a huge tower. I'd be able to see all the other areas. It would make sense, but instead, I just got this stormy background, which basically has no detail in it. I guess maybe that all areas is a little bit too much to ask, and it would be a little bit too interesting. Oh, they just reused the same area from the other golem fight earlier in this level, but flipped it around. At least this thing has the same Enderman AI. It's finally time. The final fight. Oh, he's a complete chump. Look at this fucking guy. A homeless guy would have been harder. I mean, of course, there will be a second phase, but... So this boss is called the Heart of Ender, which isn't even an original name. It's the name of a mod for Minecraft, where you become a drug-filled superhero. The reason I bring up this fact is because I found this mod showcase that is just fantastic. The full video will be linked below.
I say what ho, chaps and chappets, Game Chum and Birdie here. Yeah. Yes, fellows, indeed, and I say tonight that in this video game we are investigating a most interesting, jolly, hyper-mode corrupted Steve Icy as part of the End Chainsaw modification by Shrew. My goodness! Jump from the Wisey, they observe the effect upon the landscape. Tally-ho, charge, old boy! What a Superman, I tell you!
He's a super being!
Yes, observe, take that! A tiny goes with one very strike, I say!
One hit kills!
One hit Goodness me, totally immune to lava. This is a super being. My word, you better make sure you've got an entire bucket load of chickens or you've had it. Anyway, then. What? Hello there. What's happened to you, yes, Superman? I say, you're a slow dying. Yes, no, it's Superman for sure. Where are you?
This thing just did like 100 damage in 1 second. The roll doesn't even dodge. Why have it in the game? My guy moves like a fucking idiot. Well, that's half an hour of my life just down the drain. I'm stuck on... Why'd I even fucking bother? Finally, I'm back. Since when was this guy such a dickhead? He just spams the same 2 attacks. Why'd I even complain? That's every boss in the game. At least I have my Iron Man beam. To dodge these attacks, you have to start walking really early. At no point does this guy stop attacking. He doesn't have a cooldown. He doesn't even take a breather. At least as a final cutscene. I want to kill him already for this. It was me, not those fucking guys. I'm not even in this cutscene. What the fuck is the even point? I got no credit. That fucking red-haired anime bastard didn't do shit. My white-haired babe did all of it. And those fucking guys didn't contribute at all. I just realized the only attack I died to that entire fight was the laser. I almost died even after the thing was dead. So let's talk for a minute. The ending of this game is terrible. The amount of fucking creatures I killed up to this point. These illagers are obviously sentient if they can choose not to bow before the Arch-Illager. This guy probably had a wife and child. This guy, this little grey fuck, has caused all of this and gets away scot-free. These illagers that are just following orders, they must die, but this guy who's basically Hitler, putting people into camps and burning villagers alive? No, let's just dance with him. He deserves it way more than the skeleton guy in the tomb. He deserves it more than the witches. Did they think this was a good idea? Why couldn't I have just gotten to kill that little shit? The man who caused all this pain and turmoil gets to live while I killed this fucking skeleton guy with a staff, and the illagers never even got past the front gate of the temple, and I still had to kill that guy. These had nothing, no story, no bosses, no cool loading screens. All the bonus levels have the same loading screen. Archhaven would have been cooler if I didn't come back higher level. I know I put it on myself, but shut up. But this Archhaven level is kind of cool looking. With a lot of these areas, I feel like they were just added in after all the main areas because they thought there wasn't enough levels. It really just feels like they reused some assets, and this one feels like there's at least a little bit of originality. Even if this level sucks, at least they tried with this one. This level has a sort of story, I guess. You're taking magic or whatever. It's bonus content. I don't gotta look this gay story shit up, seeing as they just tacked it onto the end. Also, this game does bonus levels like fucking shit. You could go through the game first time, not knowing that bonus levels even exist, because you have to be in the right seed to get one. I had to look up a tutorial because I spent 15 minutes walking around Soggy Swamp like a fucking bitch. It took me like 9 tries to get it. I only recorded 3 of them. Just take my word for the fact that it's take my word, please. Remember when I said the cave was the worst part of the swamp? This level just proves it. I hate this so much. It's just walking around a swampy shithole. It's really dark. There's also these puzzles at the end, which I may or may not be an expert at. I mean, I've got 50 hours in Portal. I'm pretty smart. There's this level called Creepy Crypt. This level is a slog to get through. I recorded my reaction, and for like 10 minutes I just stopped talking because there was nothing to talk about. Alright, I almost forgot I was making a video. I was just sitting here in silence for ages. Well, I've probably been sitting here. This is just so monotonous. I've literally just been sitting here in silence for like fucking 10 minutes. You know, I'm just gonna leave the fucking dungeon. Do you care? Do you care about the dungeon? I don't care about the dungeon. Now it's on to the final bonus stage, High Block Dungeon. It has nothing to do with a dungeon. It has no prisoners. What's the point? Why not just call it High Block Basement? That's all it is. I've been in this shithole for 10 minutes. I can't find the key. I found a golden chest, but I didn't find a golden key. This music is so bad. I don't want to speak on the validity of music because I really don't know much about criticizing music, but this music just blends together so badly. It feels like they overlaid the same song 3 times. So I restarted the level. I found the key instantly. What was with the other area? I was there for like 15 minutes just looking for the fucking key. I wasn't even fighting enemies for like a huge chunk of that time. The rest of this level isn't even that good. It's filled with boring enemies doing boring attacks in a boring place. It has traps from the temple. They still do nothing. How did it take me so long to find that fucking key? Finally, after all this time, something to finally end the game. This Strawbridge has been the bane of my existence. What's this? Oh great, more busy work. I gotta go around all the main levels and find these runes. It's done. After 2 fucking hours, I actually did it, mate. All of the runes. It fucking took me 2 hours. This is gonna give me a great reward. All the runes. Did you fucking see that? Oh, question mark. I'll check that out, but there's some good shit apparently. Oh. The secret mission, guys. This may redeem the entire game. No, it won't. I guarantee you, it won't redeem the entire game. And it better be good for 2 fucking hours worth of work. I even set the difficulty to the lowest I can, and it still took me 2 hours. It still took me 2 hours after putting the difficulty all the way down. Wow. Still no narrator. No. Two hours for a reference. This is reference, by the way. I hope you're all aware. 2 hours for a reference. And all it does is make mushrooms hostile. Make mushrooms that are hostile. Jesus Christ. I just wasted like 9 hours of my life. You ever just have one of those moments where you realize you've wasted 9 hours of your life? That's me right now. This place would be okay if it hadn't followed the other bullshit. This is all it is, a reference level with a reskinned boss that is spongy and not in a good way, and it didn't even kill me once. If the rest of the game was good, this level would be good, because it's a joke level, a reference to the game that obviously inspired this one. The game is not good, so it really isn't funny, because not even because I spent 2 hours trying to find it. It's because I spent like 6 hours playing the game just to have the last level I played until I quit because I got bored. To be this level, I really don't want to have to go all out, especially in a section about the meme Easter egg. But this level really shows me why I hate this game. There's good elements. They really cared about crafting this game. I know I made that pun, but ignore my pun ability. They tried. There are little moments. The Archhaven goes na 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 when he ambushes you, which I love. In the trailer, he whacks the other consoles and stuff onto the thing, which is something that made me unironically laugh. I know that that's not a very good joke, but it still made me laugh. If the game had been more lighthearted, then it would have been better, but no. You just kill the enemies, leave ragdoll corpses like it's Dark Souls. There's dead redstone golems, a bunch of villagers die, there's enslavement. This really is a tonally weird game, which could have been made better with a bit less of an oppressive atmosphere and maybe making the Archhaven less threatening. But they took really weird atmospheric choices that the goofy elements just don't fit in with. Finally, we're at the conclusion. If this game had been more goofy, it probably would have been better. It would have been more acceptable that the heroes and Archhagers dance to the end. But you mercilessly slaughter everything without hesitation, but dance with the Archhagen. The gameplay is horribly repetitive, so you can grind, but the combat isn't fun, so therefore the grinding isn't fun. It's the whole point of grinding games. Make the grinding fun, or have a cool end game. Which this has neither. You don't even feel more powerful because the enemies are so easy to kill that it doesn't matter if you're super overpowered. In Minecraft, grinding levels and searching for diamonds is not fun, but fighting this dragon is. In Kenshi, you grind to get your guys leveled up and so they can kick ass. The grinding is not fun, but the satisfaction of completing your goals, like enslaving the Holy Nation and peeling their leader's skin off, is.
Hey, look at that! Guess who can masturbate again? You!
In this game, you grind so you can kill the enemies that you've been killing all games that already die super easy, so you can kill them slightly easier. The bosses and mini-bosses are terrible. I mean, you would think they would make these good, so you can grind to fight them more effectively, but I don't know what effectively is in this game. Is this effective? Is this effective? I can't tell. The abilities are just boring, and are only useful if you want to heal. I may return when the DLC comes out, and I'll probably finally 100% it, doing all 3 runs on all 3 difficulties, because that's how they made the game longer, by adding 3 run-throughs. So overall, I would give this game a 10 out of 10, but seeing as they fucked up the eating sound, it'll have to go a full letter grade down. Should have added cars, then it would be good. Follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to my channel for more epic videos, or your mother will be forced to play Minecraft Dungeons with your one racist friend. That was the worst ending thing I've ever done. So I want to make more videos like this. There's a couple games and movies I'd like to review. There's a few analysis videos I'd like to make, something that actually adds to a discussion. I have one idea for a game that is very interesting to me and could be interesting to analyze. But that's a video for another day. Farewell, friends, and have a good one.